Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today, we're going to be talking about the one and only Caspa. In terms of the news, there's not much from Caspa itself, but there are a few things that I do want to talk about. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, time is ticking. This is the time to be fixing up your portfolio. If you want a portfolio review, make sure to join the community. We are also getting more into trading, and you can see that I called out gold reversals, right? Called out gold reversals in full detail, right? It's just one of 6 pictures. You can see I'm even in the trade, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Gold reversals happened, and we are literally at the all-time highs. Literally at the all-time highs, right? Made a nice 2K USD off of this trade. So if you want to participate, highly recommend. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right into this. Let's start talking about Caspa, right? You know I am high on Caspa. I have actually been starting to accumulate Caspa kind of late compared to everyone else. I started to really accumulate Caspa roughly around 8.5 cents. I had a buy limit, right? That was one of my first big purchases. I had a little bit before, but nothing really worth mentioning. We had some here, purchased, we have somewhere roughly here. And then when things started to go here, and then literally like right over here. So I've been kind of accumulating Caspa. I don't know my exact average, but it's a little bit below 7 cents. I could say, confidently. The reason is why I know it's below 7 cents, despite having bought at above 7 cents multiple times, is because let's just say my personal plan is if I put $200 over here in this position, then I'd probably put something like 300 over here, right? Get for the better discount, something like 400 over here. And then if I saw this premium price, I'm putting in something like $700, right? So we are going to be getting a nice big average. The lower it gets, the more aggressive I always play, right? That is just the way I personally do things. Of course, that is not how you have to dollar cost average. That's not how you have to play the game, right? Some people just go all out in terms of one trade, some or buying positions. Some people, they dollar cost average the same amount no matter what at the same time of day, right? They don't look at certain lows or anything. They just do what they want to do. You need to have your own plan. And if you don't have a plan, like I said, join the community. We'll create a plan for you. Time is ticking. Look, Caspa, right? We knew about this big zone over here, pretty much at 5 cents. This is the top of the pretty much last relevant highs over here, right before we shot up, and now we are retesting off it. When we go to the pretty much other candles, we can see that we do have an order block over here at 3 cents. Now, I don't know necessarily if it's going to hit this time around. The thing is, right, I'm big on order blocks, very key when it comes to my trading. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, I overall do believe that the reversals are gonna start happening with Caspa much sooner than later. Not only Caspa, but the markets in general. Okay, we know global liquidity is going to be coming into these markets very soon, and we should start seeing pumps over the next few weeks. But before we get to that, we need to start accumulating. We need to start going sideways, right? We can't just go straight up. That is not how the markets work. Before I break that down, I want to break down Caspa's current price action. We can see that when we were above, the last big highs, we broke below them, right? We were here chilling for multiple weeks. It was not looking good. We got multiple rejections. We finally crashed through. We pulled up, right? We pulled up, but we did respect this big zone, and then we start to go lower and lower, right? We were consistently creating lower and lower highs when it came to the weekly candles, and even of course when we go into the lower time frame, into the daily candles, right? We could see price action is consistently lower. Even daily closes like here, we can see this is a lower high, hence why price also started to drop even more, right? So look, obviously we want this coin to start reversing. We want to start making money. But overall, I think right now, ladies and gentlemen, those times are going to be here sooner than later. But right now are fantastic buying opportunities. Also, something that I really, really want to note is that Caspa closed very, very nicely on the daily candle yesterday. And we can see the markets are actually have been dropping. Bitcoin has dropped roughly $4,000. Bitcoin itself is down 5%. We can see some other coins, suffering a little bit. Some coins like Radium suffering a lot. Something like Turbo actually just chilling, not even moving at all. Other coins are, having the same type of similar drop to Bitcoin. But look, Caspa is chilling. We can see multiple candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 4 candles. 20 hours worth of selling pressure. Absolutely weak, right? Absolutely weak. And, it is holding well at the moment. Of course, if Bitcoin drops too hard and Bitcoin dominance rises too fast, Caspa could see a spike. But for me, it looks like Caspa at this current moment is looking to pretty much hold this and try to go higher. Now, of course, it is going to be very, very hard considering that, it is going against the market and is going against Bitcoin. But this is a fantastic sign because even if we fall below, we should not go much lower than maybe 6 cents, a little bit above 6 cents, maybe something into this zone right over here to then continue higher. Look, people, if Caspa is holding this strong when Bitcoin's down 5%, Bitcoin dominance starting to rise, which is not good for us, right? When Bitcoin drops and Bitcoin dominance starts going up, it's a double negative. And if Caspa can hold this strong, imagine what's going to happen when it's going to be in reverse. When Bitcoin starts pumping, Bitcoin dominance starts dropping. When Bitcoin holds its price, when Bitcoin dominance drops, 20, 30, 40%, and altcoin season is here, right? Imagine how hard Caspa is going to pump. Someone asked me the other day, where do I think Caspa will go? Well, we're going to break this down in terms of a market cap perspective. Look, I believe Caspa will be one of those coins that enters the 35 to 45 billion market cap range kind of easily, right? Kind of easily. It may require a double pump for it to, go all the way up to 70, 80, 90 billion market cap. But in terms of, the typical area where I think a lot of top coins would go, which is the 35 to 45 billion market cap, we can see, right? If we were just to 10x from here, we would go to 66 cents roughly, right? Which would be roughly 17 billion market cap. If we 2x that, that is going to be roughly 35 or 34, 35 billion market cap, right? Which would also be 2x in price, around $8, was it $1.22 or a little bit more, maybe $1.30, right? So for me, that is very realistic. So for me, Caspa ranging between $1.30 and $1.70 is where I would be looking to have my take profits if, I didn't have any other structure in front of me, right? If I was supposed to go based off pure predictions, based off pure everything, based off pure evidence, I believe Caspa will be hitting those absolute key areas of 35 to 45 billion market cap, probably going near an average of a nice $1.50, right? Because like I said, between $1.30, $1.70 is where I believe we will most likely be heading to very, very high probability. We also do have the big update for Caspa happening May 5th, ladies and gentlemen, right? Do not forget that the big event that will literally make this coin 10 times better, the utility 10 times better, is happening on May 5th, which is going to be crazy because it is expected for liquidity to start coming into the markets on May 7th. So perfect timing. This coin is an absolute gem. I'm super, super high on this coin, and I really do love it. That is it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, if you need extra guidance, any personal help or coaching or anything, make sure to join the community. Make sure to join the Discord. That is it. Love you all so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.